This week's Parsha, Parshas Vayishlach, begins Vayishlach Yaakov Malachim Lefonav Esav Achiv. Says Rashi, he sent Malachim. What kind of Malachim did he send? Malachim Mamish. And unfortunately, I have a problem with that. Malachim have a level of Kedusha you're not allowed to abuse. And he used it maybe for mundane service, as a messenger service. Why didn't he just hire a couple of Arabs? I got a message from my brother, pay him a few dollars, and get the job done. What is he using malachim mamish, as Rashi says? Mamish malachim. And what was the message that he was giving his brother? Im lovon garti ve'echadata. That I lived with my brother, I lived and spent time with Laban for 20 years, basically. Echadata, I spent time there. Says Rashi, garti is tayag. The gematria tayag, it's actually the same letters as tayag. Now, if I'm sending my brother Esav, who I think I'm going to have to go to war with, will I tell him that I lived with Lavan and I didn't learn any of his bad maisim, says Rashi? Lavan, the greatest con artist, a person who always wins, knows how to beat everybody, and I didn't learn anything from him. That's the guy that Esav wants to fight. He's happy to fight a yeshiva bochel. So what kind of message was he giving him? As I said before, when a person does a mitzvah, he creates a malach. Yaakov was telling Esav, I spent 20 years at Laban's house. What did I do? I didn't learn any of his bad traits. I actually sat and learned and took care of whatever business I had to take care of for him. Imagine for 20 years I was Makayim Taryag mitzvahs. Imagine how many malachim I created over the tens and tens of thousands of malachim I created in that 20 years. And those are my protectors. V'yishlach Yaakov malachim el Esav. These malachim, they went on their own basically. They were his protectors. These were the malachim that he created. These are malachim that Yaakov created from the mitzvahs that he did at Esav's house, at Laban's house. Says Rashi, Vayishlach Yaakov malachim. What kind of malachim did he send? Malachim mamish. Mamish is Rosh Tevis. Malachim mitzvah she'asa. But as we get further in the parsha, we have a little problem here. Yaakov is fighting the malach of Esav, and the malach of Esav can almost beat him. Now, we just said that he had so many thousands of malachim protecting him. How is it possible that Esav's malach should be able to almost beat Yaakov Avinu and injure him? The Gemara says someplace, it's not the same if somebody learns something 100 times and he learns it 101 times. Now think about that. There's a fellow sitting and learning Gemara and Hadaving or Taisvis 100 times, he repeats it 100 times. Says the Gemara, not enough. One more time, now he's going to remember it, now he's going to retain it, now he's going to be able to embellish on it. What's wrong with that? 101 over 100? What does that make sense? Is the teretz is like this. The Yetzer Hara has a name, and that is the Malach of Esav. His name is Samuel. Some people don't even say the name, they call him the Samach Mem. Now this Malach was Esav's Malach, was a very powerful Malach. Because Esav happened to have one great mitzvah that he performed with such diligence that the Gemara says nobody in the history performed it as well as him. And that was Kibbud Av. So he created one of the greatest malachim also that was so powerful. And that malach was almost able to beat Yaakov because Yaakov was lacking that mitzvah for the 20 years he was by Lavan, when the years in Shem Ve'ever. So he was missing the greatness of the mitzvah of Kibbud Av that he had. But what did he do? With the one he was fighting him, what did the malach do? The malach says that Vayiga b'kaf yerechoi v'tika b'kaf yerech Yaakov. The malach injured Yaakov. How? He injured his kaf yerech Yaakov, his sciatic nerve. By doing that, Yaakov had his tikkun, and he was able to, at that point, beat the Malach, even though at that point he was already an injured person. Now, how does that make sense? To beat the Malach of the Yetzer Hara, to be able to retain Torah, a person has to have a level of Kedusha. A person has to be able to be in a level that the Torah and will be compatible with his body. If he doesn't have this level of Kedusha, he'll learn it and then he'll forget it. Or he won't be able to embellish on it. He won't be able to make Kedushim on it. This is only when he is able to banish, at least to a certain point, the Yetzer Hara. And that Yetzer Hara, of course, they say, is the Samol, is the Malach of Esav. Samach Mem, the Malach of Esav, is Big Matri 100. What the Gemara is saying, Ein Adoim, it's not the same. When somebody learns something, when his level of Kedusha is not above getting rid of the Yetzer Hara, getting rid of the Samach Mem. Once he hits above 100, and he hits 101, that means he already has a level of Kedusha to remember and to retain this Gemara, this whatever he learned. Yaakov Avinu needed a tikkun, and this tikkun was he had to get injured. How was he injured? But Kaf Yerech Yaakov. Kaf is B'Gematria 100. Once Yaakov had his tikkun by getting punished, this 100 was moved, and now he was above the Yetzer Hara, and at that point he was able to beat him. Now to bring in Chanukah over here a little bit, Chanukah is coming up. The Gemara in Shabbos says, my Chanukah. Chanukah, they found a little jug of oil, and the Chashmonaim lit it, and from 1 day's oil, we have 8 days oil. The Chashmonaim, up to that point, the Klal Yisrael up to that point, needed to reach a level of Kedusha that the Chashmonaim would be able to bring in the Or, which is Torah, and light the menorah. When Hashkadosh Baruch Hu directed them to find this Pach Shemen, the Gemara says they didn't just find a Pach Shemen. They found Pach Echad. Pach is B'Gematria 100, and once they went over that 100, Pach Echad, 101, which means they had a level of Kedusha that they could bring the Torah, the light of Torah, into the Beis HaMikdash. At that point, Klal Yisrael was ready to have the Nes of Chanukah happen to them. And from there came our Nes of Chanukah. So the Rebbeinu Shalom should take a help that we should be able to have the Or of Torah, b'schus, of course, our tefillas, and b'schus what we're going through, that we should take a bizoicha, that the Rebbeinu Shalom should bring us Mashiach Tzidkenu b'mheira b'yameinu amen.